But yeah, you had quite a rough, by the sound of it, you had quite a rough background in a kind of way, you know, with lots. But I didn't have that kind of stuff. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I didn't. Like I said, I did. I didn't like school. Okay, and yeah, you know, like we had completely different childhood, all right. But I think you found yourself because you know, I think you went through a rough time. Then I think you had a good upbringing somehow. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Like I had, like my mum. My mum is amazing. Like my mum is amazing. Like all the shit that I went through and all the shit I got involved in and everything that happened in my life, like circumstances and like things that I did, had nothing to do with my mum. Like my mum tried her utmost best to like provide for me and my two sisters. You know, she was on her own predominantly most of the time. Like I've said a few times before, like she was a single mum for most of our lives. Like you know, she was. You know,
So you had sisters to help you a little bit, whatever. Yeah.
so I had a lot, and I got an older sister and a younger sister, but all the shit that I got involved in was just through my own doing too. Like I was just from a young age, I was always like attracted by the streets, like the money, like certain things, like you know, certain things comes along with the streets. You know, when you're young and you see, you know, you're living in a community where you're
Lots of children
there's
neglected.
all the older guys who are outside every day, and you can see they got money and you know,
Drugs.
the women exactly the women love the you know you've got women, you know there's certain attractions that come along with the streets at like at a young age. Like I mean you're surrounded by that. Like obviously I lived in Barbados, and like when most people think about Barbados they think about oh yeah beautiful island, which is very true. And it's a wonderful place. It's a lovely place, wonderful island.
All right for a
And
holiday in a
great,
hotel.
great for tourists and stuff like that. You know, tourists and stuff like that. But there are just like a lot of other places in the world, like
Dark
a lot of
sides to
places.
it.
There's, you know,
Dark side.
exactly, you know, and you know, I moved around and I grew up in a lot of areas that were not the most favourable of places, as some people would say. And to me, that was I never. To me, that for me, it was normal. You know, if you see what I mean, like growing up in an environment where you know, you're chilling on the block every day with your boys and smoking and drinking and playing dominoes, listening to music and just living life and shit. But the average person that might walk by and go past you might say, "Oh, he's a thug," you know what I mean? He's a gangster, you know, whatever. Because
you did have some trouble with police once, didn't you?
Well, more than once, quite a few times, unfortunately, especially over there. You know,
This is before you're 16 or 18.
a few times before I was 16, and a few times after. Um, I got in trouble for fighting a couple of times with police. I got in trouble. This is young.
Well, you beat the police up?
No, but I'm getting in a fight at school.
Yeah.
Um, um, and then other things too that I don't really want to go into too as well, like in the streets, you know, I mean, things like
you had to stick up for yourself, didn't you?
Yeah, for sure. And like even when I got robbed, like at gunpoint, and almost, you know, could have died, almost really, you know, was in a situation where I thought. The thought did go through my mind, to be very honest, at the time. I did think that I thought that might be it at the time. In that very moment, that was the thought that went through my head. That this is probably it, you know what I mean? And then after that happened, and I knew that everything was okay, I was alive, and, you know, like...
Probably situations like that change your mental mind.
Oh, for sure, yeah. That helped me too, to realise too, like, anything can happen to anyone, like, because, like, before that, like... I always stood my own, and I was always in a situation where I was never in a situation really where anyone like really ever pulled a gun on me. Like, I had like a couple of people, like a couple of times I had like one or two people pull a knife on me, and I was able to like defend myself in time to stop stop the person from like stabbing me or like slashing me or whatever, you know, whatever their intentions were. But no, you know, and it's two people too. There's two people. You know, and they both, you know, there was one person in front of me that had a gun, and then someone grabbed me from behind. So the one that jumped out in front of me, he was a distraction, if you see what I mean, kind of, with the gun. And then someone grabbed me from behind, and I could feel like they had something to my head too, which I wasn't sure if it was a gun, because obviously I couldn't see, because the person was holding me, like the person was taller than me and bigger than me, yeah, and had their arm wrapped around me, and I could feel, because obviously the person in front of me had a gun in front of me. I was kind of like, I was, you know, was trying to wasn't trying to resist or like, you know, I was trying to like go along with what they wanted, you know what I mean, kind of thing. Like, because obviously material possessions are, you know, like your life is worth much more than any material possessions you could ever own. So even if they did rob me at that time, you know, at gunpoint, those two guys, and took pretty much everything I had at that time, you know, everything I had on me, let's say my jewellery and money and phone and, you know, whatever else I had on me at the time. They took everything, but when I woke up after getting hit and blacking out, you know, waking up like disorientated, and like thinking and like realising what had just happened, and they're like, okay, like I'm still alive, like pissed off, you know, very angry, you know, can't believe it's happened to you, if you see what I mean, you know, because you know, but you know, you survive, you know, and I was thankful that I survived. Like, I remember even getting home that night, I remember even getting in a bus and telling the bus driver, like, sorry, like, I can't pay you, like, you know, I can't pay you, like, you can see, like, all my clothes are dirty and shit, like, where I, you know, because the person that was holding me from behind, yeah, when the person in front of me was holding the gun, yeah, and he came up to me, he asked me to take off my jewellery. I had a chain on at the time, so I took off my chain, he gave me my chain, yeah, and then as soon as I gave the person in front of me the chain, he had a gun to me, he gave me my chain, I had a watch on and a bracelet, and I had a phone in my pocket and some money or whatever else. The person that was holding me from behind hit me on my head. So that's what caused me to black out, if you see what I mean. You know? So he hit me so hard that I literally blacked out, literally. You know, I felt the blow, obviously, and then I remember just blacking out, like, you know, knocked out, you know. And then when I woke up, I realised that obviously they took my watch, took my bracelet, took, you know, certain other things. But I remember, like I said, when I get home that night, I was just grateful that I was alive, and like, you know, those kind of things, like we're talking about tonight, character and personality, this kind of things build your character, like, you know.
They teach you a lesson, don't they? They don't.
But it just taught me that it could happen to anyone. Like, I was in the wrong place at the wrong time, and like, I made a bad. But like, I was always the type of person that I'm always on point all the time. But that time I wasn't completely on point. I was, but I was making a move in a territory that I wasn't really familiar with. If you see what I mean. I went to see a lady. I went to see a female, essentially. And I was in a place where I wasn't really familiar. I didn't really know anyone. People didn't know me. Like you know, I'm just the average Joe. You know what I mean? And a white boy at that too. So I just, you know, those people were just waiting for the right person to come along. You know what I mean? You know, and I was just, unfortunately, just wrong place, wrong time. But I survived. You know, give thanks. You know. And I remember like getting home and like my mum asked. I remember because I was still living. I was only like 16 at the time. Just left school, was working, had a job and all that, was working and shit. I remember getting home and like, you know, I didn't have my keys, like even losing my keys and everything as well, you know, everything got lost, you know. I remember getting home having to tell mum what happened, and obviously she started crying, like upset, crying and shit, because she realised like the magnitude of like the situation, like what could have happened, like that could have been my last night, you know what I mean? And there was another situation like that too that I won't go into either as well. I won't really go into that too, you know, but really, you know, because that's it holds.
I say, I think
there was another time that I had a very close encounter, you know, and you know, life can, you know, got to give thanks, you know.
I think we all get situations in life, you know, different ones. You know, I've not had a gun to my head or anything like that, but yeah. I've had 6 guys beat me up in the toilet in the nightclub, you know, and I was covered with blood. That was when I was about 21.
I can imagine, mate. 6 guys.
You
could fight a few of them, mate, but 6 is a bit hard, to be honest. I'm not even gonna lie. Like me, I even favour my odds against 2 people. Like, you know what I mean. But any more than 3, 4, once you get past 3. It's too many, you know what I mean? You might be able to hit a few of them, but by the time you manage to punch 1 or 2 of them, someone's hit you from behind or from the side, you know.
I've been attacked a few times, to be honest with you, yeah. You know, that's when I was sort of younger. Yeah. You know, and that's when I used to go nightclubbing, when I go to pubs a bit, you know. Yeah. And I think you're going to fall into trouble if you're going to drink a little bit, you know. Yeah. Yeah. You know, I think, you know, I'm glad, in a way, 6 years ago I used to drink quite regular, to be honest with Do you know what I mean? I used to drink every weekend, whatever. But I decided to stop it.
Pack it in, yeah.
You know, and you know, I'm enjoying life a bit better actually because I've got control on it now. Do you know what I mean? That's put it that way. You know, it's good to have control on
Oh,
things.
of course, yeah.
That's another important thing. To
Yeah,
have
self control.
To have control on yourself, you know. Yeah.
Anything that has control over you. Yeah.
Even a boss.
Anything that has control over you means that you're lacking control. Yeah?
Yeah.
That's what it is. It's as simple as that. You know, you have to master self-control. You know, discipline. Like I was saying again, like the same conversation that I was talking about earlier on in the second episode of this podcast with my son. I was having this conversation with him again yesterday. I said discipline is the key, like one of the keys. You know, consistency and discipline. You know, are two of the most important keys in life. You know, I mean, you can be disciplined. Discipline is doing what you don't want to do, but doing it like you love it. Like you're really passionate about it and want to do it with a smile. Regardless of whatever's happening, you just get up and do it. You get on with it. You know what I mean? You don't. You know, you keep the positive.
You don't get behind either, really. You know, you just got to keep. I mean, it's like me. You know, every day I wake up. I don't go to work like everyone else. You know, I'm free to do what I want. You know, but I don't let myself get behind ever. You know, I'm disciplined with it. You know, and I like to sort of keep my life up together at all times. You know. And if not, you know, if anything, get it better, not worse. You know, like tomorrow, I'm going to try to make my life better if I can, in one way or another.
Yeah.
You can make your life worse by going outside and meeting the wrong person. You know.
Yeah.
Or you know, I'm happy with what I've got. You know, I'm content today. I mean, I'm happy with the friends I've got. I don't really want any more friends.
Yeah, same, mate. And some people might call it antisocial or being introverted or how do you
love
look
all
at
people,
it?
right?
We love all people, but keeping your circle small is so important. Like you know,
you can only love so many people. That's the thing.
That's it.
You know, and I think like if you have too many friends, like say I had 10 friends, it kind of weakens you a bit in a funny way. You know, because you're giving your love to too many people, you know. And
well, you don't know who. Well, having too many people, to be right, mate, is just keep the people around you that you can trust.
Yeah.
People that are loyal to you, and they're always the people that are really going to be there for you. Like if you could call them up in the middle of the night or tomorrow morning and say, mate, can you help me with this, or can you do, you know, like not saying that you want to put upon people because no one likes to impose upon people, but friends and real loved ones should be able to rely on each other. Like if you need help, like mate, something's just happened, mate, like you know, like I need some money, can I borrow some money, like I need to be able to get through tonight, let's get some money, can you lend me something? Cool, no problem. You know, can you come around and help me do this, you know, because you know, I can't do it alone, you know, I'm by myself, you know.
Like the marble table.
Like the bloody marble table that almost killed that, almost caused us both to have a cardiac arrest and, you know, have to call the bloody services, you know. But yeah, you know.
That's it. It's all about trying to help each other, isn't it?
It's just about work. Yeah, it's just keeping those people that are real, like trustworthy and loyal and respectful, and people that you know that you can rely on, and they can rely on you too. It's not a one-way street. They need to be able. You need to be reliable too. If you want to be able for people to rely on people, you have to be reliable too. You see what I mean? It doesn't just go one-way street. You know, it has to be reciprocated. You know,
there's a lot of people out there really that will take advantage of you if they can.
Oh yeah, of course, of course. And you have to be aware of that too. This is funny enough. Same conversation I had again with my son 2 days ago.
Yeah,
another
thing
we were talking about. I said we were talking about kindness and all these kind of different things, and I said the same thing. It's good to be kind, it's good to be all these things, but you also have to know who are the people that will try to take advantage of your kindness. And you have to be aware and knowledgeable and have some kind of like discernment, if you see what I mean, to be able to like decipher the people that are genuine and the people who might be trying to use you, if you see what I mean, you know. There's a big difference, you know.
See, sometimes I think like kindness can be, being kind can be doing harm.
Yes, yeah. Yeah.
Right, like for instance, if I was a person that was really rich, right, and I was just sort of giving my money out to everyone
Yeah.
on the streets, you know,
Yeah.
and some, you know, I might even sort of give somebody that's on the floor there, you know, in a blanket, give him £100 or something. Here, buy a bottle of whiskey, and he might kill himself that night. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, and you've done that. Do you know what I mean? By helping them out.
Yeah. Sometimes there's a big difference. Yeah, that's the thing. Sometimes you don't want to. You don't want to enable someone their addictions or whatever the case may be, but at the same time you feel like you want to help. So I'm the type of person that I will go and buy people food. I like a lot of time I go to the studio, right, mate? A lot of time I go to the studio in Southampton, right? I never ever really talk about this because I don't like these type of things you do because you genuinely want to do them. You know, you want to help people. You feel in the moment, like I do shit when I feel inspired. So if I go past someone and I see them and I don't feel I'm busy, like, you know, but a lot of time I go past a lot of people and if I get that intuitive feeling of like I want to help this person, like okay, when I go to studio, a lot of time I go to Asda's, close to Esky, and get the elevator, go upstairs, and sometimes when you go up there in the lobby way there, just before you walk in to go into Asda's, if you see what I mean, there's people there on the floor with their blankets, you know, or whatever, begging, you know, homeless and shit like that, and every now and sometimes what I'll do is I'll go to Asda and get my bits and pieces, and while I'm in there I'll go and buy like some pastries or a few other bits of drinks and a few other bits and pieces, a hot drink and some like pastries or whatever. And I'll go, when I'm going back downstairs to go, you know, to walk towards the studio, I'll just say, here you go mate, like, have that, you know what I mean, here's a hot drink, here's a little bit of food, you know, this will keep you...
And you're not really,
you know?
you're not even a rich man, are you? Do you know what I mean? You're
Well,
not the wealthiest man in the world.
No, I'm not, you know, I'm in quite a good position today, but like you said, I'm by no means or any way I would consider myself wealthy. I'm in no means considered wealthy at all, if you see what I mean, you know. I'm not wealthy yet, you know. Well, I will be, but, you know, you know. But yeah, going back to what I was saying, like, you know, like, I'm big on that, like, I'm big on, if you feel inspired to help people, help them, you know, like, I've given people money before, don't get me wrong, sometimes I do give people money if I'm in that position where I don't have time. I might say, oh, here, you know, here's a tenner, mate, you know what I mean, get yourself some food, you know, and hope that they do get themselves some food instead of some alcohol or whatever the case may be. But at the same time, I don't judge people either, you know, I try not, even if they do use it for that, I won't judge them, you know.
Sometimes it, you know, you can make someone's day without giving them money.
Yeah,
you know, by saying something special about them.
Yeah, true.
Or enlightening them. Right.
And sometimes too, these people just want a little bit of time too. Like if you're the type of person that you do have the type of time is to like, you know, if you do help them out, you know, talk to them for 10 minutes. You know, just give them a bit of conversation, or you know, as long as they're friendly, of course. You know, not everyone can be friendly, but. You know, if you realise that they're just in a bad situation and they're just in need of a bit of a help, but you can see that they might be a good person, then give them 5-10 minutes of your time. You know, you have a quick chat to them. You know, try and find out how they got in that situation. And whatever. You know,
it's like we're doing this show really to help people, aren't we?
Yeah, true. That's the general basis of the show.
With you know, I'm not saying that I'm the wisest person in the world or whatever. But I'm interested in getting wiser myself in life. And I do love talking about philosophy. Like I do enjoy our shows and what we talk about. You know, and hoping that people learn from what we might say or from our chats, basically. You know, so I'm not sort of dashing money out to everyone and giving them money. I'm not even a rich person, you know what I mean? So I can't do that, but maybe our words can help someone and make their day and change them maybe. Or help them understand better. You know, I mean, I'm learning from actually doing these chat shows myself. You know, and I think it was a great idea of yours, you know, sort of to do it. And I think, like, hopefully a lot, you know, some people, young and old, might benefit from what we're saying and from what we're doing.
Oh, of course, yeah. You know, the goal of our show is just to be as honest and transparent as possible, and just to give you guys like an insight and kind of a bit of an idea into our way of thinking, you know, our opinions and our life experiences, and you know, the knowledge that we've both acquired in the time span that we've both been here on Earth, and you know, we try to share that with
In the
people
universe.
in the universe. Yeah. Exactly, I like that, mate. I like that. That's better, because I believe that I've been here before the Earth, mate. I honestly do believe that. I believe I must have been here. I must have been existing
Yeah.
before.
I mean, the universe is very old.
Yeah, I must.
You know.
I think we do exist before the Earth, mate. You know.
Yeah, I don't think there's an age on the earth myself. You know, I think it's that, you know, it's just always been here.
Yeah.
People with me. But there you go. That's how old it is. It's always been here. You know. So how old is that?
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
But we're talking about earlier on our lives, yeah.
Yeah.
Because you went through a lot, you know, the guns and all this, you know, and at Barbados.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think I went through anything like that a little bit. I mean, I did have my difficult moments and a fight at school. You know, when I did have a fight, whether I was 10 years old, 12 years old, and I was still fighting a bit when I was 14, 15, you know what I mean, and 16.
Yeah.
Honest with you, you know, like I said, I had a short temper.
Yeah.
You know, anyone that said anything rude to me or said something nasty to me, I'd hit them.
Yeah, I was the same.
You know,
I was the same too.
bad temper.
At that age too, though, I was the same there. Around that same age, I was very hot-headed.
Yeah,
I was
very strong.
I was very big on like I was big. I've always been big on respect, but like don't disrespect me. Like back then, back then, like you said, it wasn't right. I'm not saying it wasn't right to be like that. You know, I mean, I'm glad that I've changed. I'm a different person today, but I was very much the same. Like
as I was saying, you know, like as I was 18, I started growing up and realising that was wrong. That was wrong. You know what I mean? I realised now I had a bad temper.
Yeah, likewise.
You know, and it's like as you grow up, you do lose your bad temper. Do you know what I mean? You learn to control your temper.
You learn patience. Patience is another very Yeah,
you learn to control your temper. I mean, I feel like, you know, you said that you you become sort of like peace of mind when you're sort of like 20ish sort of thing. But I felt peace of mind only sort of like maybe